Yo, what up guys? Old School Dan here, back again with another video. Excuse my absence, it's been long overdue for another video. I get so caught up with my personal training business, my life, my relationship, the dog, um, everything. It gets challenging to make videos for you guys. I'm sorry that I haven't made the time, but here I am back again to make some more time for you guys to bring you part two of rebuilding the silver physique. I know the thumbnail is a little different. I'm just testing out to see which one's going to give you more clicks, more views, because I want to spread this good information to as much people as I can. So if you can just share this video, like it, drop a comment with someone who needs to see this, because it's a free workout program that it's super solid. And, this is something people pay me like thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars for in person, and here I am giving to you for free. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. Phase 2 hypertrophy, and we got some extra notes here. So what does this phase do? So this phase is designed to put on quality muscle mass. It's a quote-unquote hypertrophy phase. All right, you're looking to build muscle. The last phase, you are looking to build strength and muscle, but a huge emphasis on strength because the rep range was like 6 reps. Now the tempo you should be using. Now let me tell you about the ideal tempo for hypertrophy according to the science. I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, it is a 4-second negative, a 3-second pause, and a 4-second positive. It's that slow and it's that long for one rep because it's all about time under tension when it's hypertrophy. All right, it's not just about the rep range; it's about the tempo and the rep range as well. Hypertrophy begins anywhere between 8 to 12, ideally, and the tempo is the one I just gave right here, which is the 3-second negative, 2-second hold, and 2-second positive, is something very similar to what Steve Reeves was using as his own tempo. All right, we have to go that slow is because we're going to break down more muscle fibers by creating more time under tension by going that slow. All right, so what weight should you be choosing? Excuse me. Now, ideally, week 1, everything should feel like a 6 out of 10 in terms of intensity. All right, so 1 being light, 10 being hard or heavy. And for example, let's just say you're doing a bench press, right? Week 1, we start you off with 135. I ask you, hey, how'd that feel? You're like, oh, it's a little heavy. I'm like, all right, too heavy? All right, let's go back down a teeny bit. Let's go down to like 115. And you're like, all right, that feels like a 6 out of 10. I'm like, cool. Next week you come in. Week 2, we're going to go for like RP of 7. We go into 125, which is a 35 and a 5 on each side, 40 pounds on each side for, like 8 reps or whatever. And I'm like, how'd that feel? You're like, okay, that felt a little challenging, but that felt like a 7 out of 10. I'm like, cool. We're in week 2. That's how it should feel like. Week 3, we're going to go into 135. And then you're going to be like, oh shit, that was a struggle to get 8 reps, but I was able to do it. So an RP of 8. And the week 4, we're pretty much going to plateau. You're going to plateau around week 3, week 4. That happens. That's not like a rare case for you to plateau on week 3 or week 4. That happens. But that's why we do different phases, so that way you don't plateau. In week 4, let's just say we had you do 140 or 145. I usually like to start light and then go heavy. So that way it's not too hard to come back from. Because if I had to start with like 145, and you're like, shit, that felt like a 9. And then we go back down to, 140, and you're like, shit, that felt like a 9 still. Instead of doing that, just start light. That way your body isn't taxed super hard from the heavy set that you messed up on, if that makes sense. Any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Or DM me on Instagram, that's even better actually. So the thing is, we never go to failures because it's so taxing mentally and physically. It taxes the shit out of your central nervous system. It taxes your muscles so hard that it makes it harder to recover from. And when you can't recover properly, you can't build strength, you can't build muscle. Your muscle building process is delayed. It takes longer to build muscle mass that way. Because with my first trainer, I noticed I'd always go to failure, and I used to get these gnarly pumps with him, right? But I noticed my strength never went up. Like it never ticked up, like ever. Like it never went up. It was crazy. But I noticed that when I started to reduce the intensity, I got stronger a lot quicker, and I got fitter even faster. So it's surprising how much the actual science of natural bodybuilding can do for like the community, because there's so many people that are like these Instagram influencers. They want to push failure, and they're like, oh, RP of 9. I'm like, RP of 9. Start off. He was like, you're crazy. You're gonna tax the shit out of someone's central nervous system. It doesn't make any sense. All right. Anyways, let's move on to the actual routine. Beginning exercise for your warm up is bench leg raises. Of course, abs first. You're gonna be doing 3 sets of 8 plus 1 every week. So, for example, week 1. Every program we do here is 4 weeks long. Week 1, you're doing 8 reps. Week 2, 9. Week 3, 10. Week 4, 11 reps. All right, ending in an odd number. After that, the reason we do core first, let me explain first. The reason we do core first is because you got to protect the lower back. Now, even though your abs are used throughout the entire workout, right? These are your squats, bench press, overhead press, all the exercises. But we have to protect the lower back. It's a sensitive area, especially it's the most vulnerable during legs. For back squats, deadlifts, and so on. So we do that by warming up the core, because your core is your body's natural brace, works like a quote-unquote belt to protect the lower back. Exactly why we do those first. From then on, then we do our primers. These are used to warm up the muscle groups that we will be using during the workout, like the glutes, hamstrings, quads. The Bulgarian split squats are going to be done for 1 set of 8 per side, so 8 on one leg, 8 on the other. This is supposed to be warming up the glutes, ankles, hamstrings, quads. Glute bridges are going to be warming up the glutes, the lower glutes, 1 set of 15. Fire hydrants are going to be warming up the hips, the abductors, the side glutes. The kickbacks are going to warm up the upper glutes. And from then on, now we've got the core ready, the core primed and ready to protect the lower back. We got the glutes ready, we got the hamstrings ready, they got the quads, the ankle ability is on point. And yes, the warm-up is abs and mobility. We never do any static stretching or any stretching before. Phase 2, day 1, barbell back squats, 3 sets of 10. Now you can do warm-up sets, they're optional. You don't have to do them if you don't want to. If you don't feel like you need them, don't do it. I personally always do warm-up sets because I always feel better from doing them. I also wrote down some notes per exercise. Barbell back squats, 3 sets of 10. Number 1, you can start by bracing the core. Learn how to brace. Highly recommend it. It's going to protect your lower back a little bit more. It's going to give you more power before each rep. Learn how to brace for like deadlifts, barbell back squats. Bench press helps a ton. Highly recommend it. Drive the knees out. A lot of people think they just squat like when you just regularly squat. I know everybody that does this. Every client that comes in, every pre-client that comes in never knows how to squat properly. The same way they taught you in high school, throw your butt back, sit your legs forward, drive through your heels and things like that. No. Biomechanically, what makes the most sense is to drive your knees out. You'll get the greatest range of motion. It feels the most natural for your body. Imagine there's a sheet of paper underneath your feet and you're trying to spread that sheet of paper with your feet outward. Highly recommend squatting this way. Feels a lot better. It might make your hips a little tight, but it's because you're not used to open up your hips like that. So you're going to need to build a little more mobility, but that's exactly why we do the primers before to get you ready for this. This was going to allow you to squat the deepest, thus allowing you to get more greater range of motion and involve more muscle fibers, especially the glutes. And the weight should be over your heels. If you have a butt wink, I highly recommend you take this tip to help improve that butt wink. Now, I personally, if I do not do this, I feel it more in my lower back because of the butt wink. Now, butt wink isn't bad. It's just that if you can squat properly, without a butt wink, you're able to engage some more muscle fibers because you're actually getting full depth. Next would be incline barbell press for upper chest, 3 sets of 10. Elbows at 45. I know you guys love that Vince Gironda stuff about him saying that the neck press is ideal for your upper pecs. The range of motion is so short, and you put your elbows in a compromised. You're putting your chest in a compromised position to get injured, because 45 was going to allow you to get the deeper stretch in your chest, the greatest range of motion. Biomechanically, it feels the best as well. The arc is pretty important too, because if you don't have a solid arc, what's going to happen is that you're going to be training more of your front deltoids rather than your upper chest. So if you feel like your upper chest is underdeveloped and you do incline all the time, it's probably because your arc sucks. because the more you can tuck your shoulders back down and under and raise that diaphragm, raise that rib cage, the greater range of motion you can get, the bigger stretch, and the more contraction you can get on that upper chest. It also helps to squeeze the glutes. It's another quote unquote brace, especially if the weights get super duper heavy. I gave this tip to another guy at the gym, since I'm a trainer there, and he was having trouble with his bench press, and I know he couldn't pass a certain weight, and I was like, hey, try squeezing your glutes if the weight gets too heavy. He did it. Your body works. It's a brace. It's a brace, and it helped him push more weight. He came up to me and says, hey, I really appreciate that tip. That worked really, really well. So yeah, next one would be lat pull down and pull ups. Lat pull down, 3 sets of 10. Pull ups, 3 sets of 10. You could be adding weight for pull ups on a weekly basis. You could start with like just body weight the first week, 2.5 pounds the next week, 5 pounds the third week, and then fourth week can be 7.5 pounds, or whatever you feel. Remember those notes I talked about in the beginning, RPE 6, 7, 8, 8.5. Knees in the front for pull-ups, because lat pull down, the only tip you really need is to put the chin back. Having the chin back is going to allow you to stretch your scapular, or aka your back, a lot more if you put your chin back. Because if your chin is forward, now your range of motion is limited because of your traps. But once you push the scapula back, now your body has the ability to stretch the lats a lot more. So having the chin back for lat pull down. Now for pull-ups, having the knees in front was going to allow you to use a little more core to assist you to do more pull-ups, to get more reps. Tucking in that core is going to stop you from swinging so much. It's going to allow you to do more pull-ups. And of course, having the chin back to increase the range of motion. All right, let's move on to the next slide. There's a part 2. Phase 2, day 1 continued. Lateral raises. There's a way that Vince Gironda taught him that Arnold also learned that is pretty damn well effective, because all these things if the dumbbells are at your sides and you're just raising them up and down, your range of motion is super short and you're going to end up using more of your traps than your actual side delts. So it makes more sense if you rest them on the thighs, like in front of the thighs, to be like diagonal, or in the front, and you're, instead of just pulling up and down, you want to be reaching away from you. It's like a different motion. It's not just up and down, it's you're reaching. You're lengthening your arm up and away. And one of the things that Vince Gironda taught pretty well, that he taught to Arnold and Arnold kind of stole, was pouring the shots, right? The thing is, a lot of the advice that Arnold gave, he stole from Vince Gironda. The Arnold press, pouring the shots. Some of these things, like, he didn't invent. Vince Gironda was the first one to invent it, but Arnold was the one that popularized it because he had the popularity. He had the charisma to do that. All right, so he stole those things. So having the arms on the thighs or in front, and you're reaching away from you, and as you're reaching up, you're acting as if the thumb goes down, the pinky goes up. You're pouring a glass of water to contract the shoulder. And test it. Have your buddy stand in front of you and do lateral raises the way you would do it without pouring the shots. And then have him do it while you touching his side delt and have him pouring the shots. You'll see that you can actually contract the side delt like that. Cable hammer curls. You're supinating the thumbs at the top to get the squeeze, to get the most squeeze out of the bicep. Supination, pretty basic tip. But the thing is, what's different about this one is that you're going to squeeze your arms throughout the entire set. So most people, you just squeeze at the top. You're like, oh, I'm curling, I'm squeezing because I'm getting to the supination part. I'm squeezing my bicep. But why start there? Why not start from the beginning, especially right when you're just holding at the bottom, and then as you're coming up, you're getting a squeeze throughout the entire movement. Not just at the beginning, at the end, where you get to the part where you squeeze, but throughout the entire movement, as you're coming up, as you're in neutral position, as you're coming up, as you're supinating. So that way, your muscle is fully under tension. And the last one would be straight bar push down for the triceps. Classic old school bodybuilding exercise, how to put it in here. Knees bent, hips back, full extension of the triceps, turning the elbows out at the bottom to get that full extension. That's one of the tips that I recommend for people, is that they always just do press downs like this, just up and down. But then the thing is that if you turn the elbows out, extends your arms a little bit more. That's why a lot of people like the ropes, because you can get full extension with the ropes. But you can also do it with the With the straight bar, I saw Larry Scott do it in one of his videos, turn the elbows out. He did it a very specific way, but this is the way I kind of formulated it into do it this way. It just feels better. It feels a lot more safe. All right. Any comments or questions? Leave some comments on the section below if you got questions, or if you really want your questions answered. Send me a DM, or I'm also offering online training as well. If you're curious, you want a custom training program, a custom nutrition plan, or way how to track macronutrients and all that good stuff. Use my website, trainwithdan.com. I'll put in the link link in the description right now for you to try out. I was about to say link in bio for Instagram, but I'll put it in the description if you want to apply for that. All right. Moving on to the next and final slide. Farmer's walk. 2 sets of 30 yards. You're gonna squeeze the core, squeeze the arms, chest up, shoulders back, good posture, slow walking, and squeezing the arms throughout the entire process. This exercise is very good because I could have programmed reverse wrist curls, underhand wrist curls, reverse barbell curls for the forearms, but this one's the easiest to progressively overload, given the position. The other positions are very awkward to add more weight on. Both old bodybuilders did do it that way. I'm gonna tell you, this is a better way and easier way to do it. So the benefits of this exercise is that it primes your central nervous system, it ignites it. So the thing is that when your body, for example, think about it as amplifiers. The more amplifiers you can turn on, the greater the sound. So the more muscles we can turn on, the better the unit, the more powerful the unit, if that makes sense. So when we do this, then when we ignite that central nervous system, then when it comes to doing exercises like a bench press, a squat, you have more amplifiers, you have more muscles being used that will assist with this exercise, and that will ultimately make you stronger. So this exercise is absolutely great, highly recommended. It also is great for building stability. The thing is when you want to gain strength and you want to put on size, if you want to put on muscle mass, the strength must go up. So if you ever feel like you're plateauing, it's because your body's lacking in stability. This exercise is great to build that up, because when your body has stability, according to the biomechanics and the physiology of your body, when your body has more stability, it will trust you to do more weight. So this exercise is great for that as well. It also is adding to the strength, muscle, grip strength. I noticed that when, I forgot which bodybuilder it was, but I did a video on it a long time ago on, working your forearms, that the thing is that they couldn't pass a certain weight because of their forearm strength, because of their grip strength. What they noticed was that when they started to work more on their grip, like reverse curls, underhand wrist curls, that's the way the old school bodybuilders did it, he noticed that he's able to do more weight now. And that's something I ran into, that's an issue I ran into a long time ago. I was like, man, I really want to do the 50s for incline dumbbell press, but I'm like, I just can't grip it. I just can't hold it. My body, I just can't even pick them up. And I started doing underhand wrist curls, reverse wrist curls. I think I did heavy farmer's walk like 1 or 2 times, but I was like, oh, this is a bullshit exercise. Little did I know, I was putting away the best exercise in the book. And I actually, my strength went up a ton. I was able to do heavier weight on the incline dumbbell press, and they must have went up to like 60, 65 pounds after working on my forearms for so long. So highly recommended. Guys, if you want to put in an application for my coaching, use my website, link in the description. Subscribe for more videos like this. Give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment. I'm Old School Dan. I'm gone. Peace.